Hello guys and welcome back to Dunk's Little Hobbies, and in today's video I am going to be talking about moving with fish. Why am I talking about moving with fish? It's because I just recently had to move with fish, and let me tell you, the whole process of moving sounds like a nightmare. When you're doing it, feels like a nightmare, but when you're over it, you kind of figure that wasn't actually as bad as it ended up being, was it? It's the same thing with moving with fish. I simply want to do a video about talking about the whole process and decision making about moving fish. I plan to tell you what my options were, what my choices were, what I did, and hopefully with everything that I did, I hope you guys can make a decision for yourselves on what to do about your aquariums if you are moving. With that said, yes, everyone's situation is different. I mean, I only have a couple aquariums. You might have like 20, 30. Every situation is going to be a little bit different, but we all basically have the exact same options. So in today's video, I'm going to go through all of that, and hopefully by the end of it, you'll be able to decide what you need to do with your situation. Alright, so the very first thing that you have to decide is you have to decide whether or not you're going to move the fish right away, or whether or not you're going to wait to move the fish. Because here's the fact. Fish, they're living creatures. They need filtration, they need clean water, they need to be cared for. You can't just move the tank halfway and then decide, okay, I'm going to go do this and that and leave the fish here for like a day or two or possibly a week. Moving takes time, you know, and stuff like that. You can't just move the tank in and forget about it. You know, you have to care for your fish. That's the most important thing that you want to do. So you either have to decide if that's going to be the very first thing you do, you're going to move the fish, you're going to take care of the fish, or if you're going to leave the fish tank where it is and wait until after you're done with everything else. Now, I luckily had the ability to leave my tank where it was and come back for it. Not a lot of people actually have this option. So what are the other options that you can do? Well, and this is important, you can at your new house, or even at a friend's house or something, you can set up a holding tank. Basically, you don't even need a tank, it just needs to be a large enough container of water. You can go buy a Sterilite container of water at Walmart for like, what, 10, 15 bucks. You can buy one of those, set it up as a tank, put water in it, put your already existing with bacteria-filled aquarium filter on it. That's basically the life of your tank. You can basically set that up on that little bin of water, and you have a holding tank for your fish. You can do this at your new house, you can do this at your old house, you can do this at your friend's house if you simply don't have anywhere to put a holding tank for your fish. This is one of the options that you can do. I was fortunate enough that I could actually just leave my fish where it was because I was actually just moving out of my grandma's house, and I was only moving about 30 minutes. We actually did hit traffic, so we actually moved about 40 minutes away from my grandma's house, so I didn't have to worry about getting everything out of the house and over to the new place. So another option that did cross my mind is actually taking the fish to a pet store and paying them to take care of your fish. This is a service that some pet stores, some fish stores especially, will do for you. However, I did this, I moved during COVID, so that was simply off of the table for me. That option was simply not there for me because all of the pet stores and stuff were pretty much closed during the time that I moved. Oh boy. But yeah, luckily I just was able to keep my fish at my grandma's house for about 2 weeks while I did the whole process of moving my stuff in, and I took care of them as the very last thing I needed to do to move completely out of my grandma's house. Yes. Now, what about actually moving the fish out? Well, we all basically have the exact same option when we move fish out. What I did personally is I had Ziploc bags, and my neighbor, which actually was my aunt, which is still my grandma's neighbor, my aunt actually, she used to buy a whole bunch of food, and she would get these styrofoam boxes all the time. So I simply just took a couple styrofoam boxes, took a couple of Ziploc bags from my grandma. I owe my grandma $5 in Ziploc bags now. But I took a bunch of Ziploc bags and I put some water in them. Now, when you do that, how much water do you actually want to put in the bag? Well, here's the thing. You simply want to put a third of the water in the bag. Now, why? Why do you only want to fill the bag a third of the way? And a lot of people don't think about this, but fish, they don't breathe in water. They breathe in oxygen. Yes, fish breathe in air, and when you put them inside of a bag, you need at least 2/3 air. The rule of thumb is 2/3 air to 1/3 water. That is the best way to move them. Now, if you have like a really, really big fish or something like that, you might have to either grab a really big bag or grab like a container or a bucket or something. Make sure that the water goes above their head, and then the rest of the bucket or container or bag or whatever is of course oxygen for the fish to breathe. Now, what some people do, and this is what of course people who move fish across the world actually put in oxygen into the bags for the fish to survive. If you're going to be moving across country and stuff like this, and you think you have to leave the fish in a bag for about 16 to 32 hours, it might be a good idea for you to locate somewhere where you can buy oxygen and actually pump that stuff into the bags or buckets of containers, whatever, with your fish as well. That is an option. However, I was literally moving 30 minutes away. I did hit traffic, so 40 minutes. The fish weren't in the bags for more than about 2 hours, so it really didn't matter in my case. Now, I did actually think about setting up a holding tank, quarantine tank, hospital tank, whatever you want to call it. Really, it's holding tank in this process. I was thinking about setting that up, but I just decided, you know what, they're not even going to be in the bags for more than maybe 2 hours at most. So I didn't even set up a holding tank. I just simply put the fish in the bag, filled it up with, of course, water, and then only when I finally was going to actually put them in the car did I close up the bag, put them in styrofoam boxes. Styrofoam boxes will, of course, take care of their temperature and all that. If you have to, if you're in a really cold area and you're moving, you might want to buy some heat packs. You can buy those at like Walmart, or you can actually kind of buy them at like Home Depot and stuff like that too. You can buy heat packs, or you can also buy cool packs. I should have probably bought cool packs because I moved them in Arizona in 115 degree heat. Yes, I moved my fish in 115 degree heat. However, I didn't put heat packs in the box either because they were actually in a car with sufficient air conditioning, and we were only in the car for about 40 minutes. I'm not even kidding. The whole time they were in the bag was no more than 2 hours. So really, in just my process, I didn't really have to worry about. But of course, if you're moving tons of fish, you might have to. I mean, I have a good handful of fish, but I only have 2 tanks, a 9-gallon and a 32.5 gallon. I'm not moving like hundreds of gallons of fish or anything like that. But if you're moving into a new house or something like that, and you're thinking about downsizing your aquarium collection, it might be a good idea at this point to also think about whether or not you're going to sell some of your fish or give some of your fish away or something like that. Make the whole process easier. If there's a tank that you really just don't want anymore, take it down to the dump, or just take it down to somewhere you can sell it. Get rid of it now before you move. Get rid of anything that you're not going to be wanting to take along with you. Get rid of it now before you move. It will just make the whole process easier. It simply will. So, as soon as I got to my new place, I put the boxes with the fish, got them out of the car, and put them into the new house. Then I started working straight on the old tank. I set up the tank with, of course, the filtration. I aquascaped it. I put sand in it, planted it, did all this and that. Didn't take me much longer than, of course, another maybe 30 minutes or so. And then I, of course, temperature acclimated the fish for about 5 to 15 minutes. Put water in there, made sure it was all the right temperature and stuff like that. And then I just released the fish, and they ended up being fine. How many fish did I lose during this entire process? The entire moving process? I lose... Lose? Are you serious? I lost absolutely none. Apparently, I don't know how to speak anymore, guys. I lost absolutely no fish in the moving process. However, I will say this. I actually moved about 2 weeks ago before I moved the fish. And during the 2 weeks that I wasn't there to do water changes or check on the fish, my grandma actually had a power outage and stuff like that. I actually lost 2 fish in the entire process of me moving. I wasn't there for 2 weeks. I didn't have a chance to look at the fish during the power outages or anything else. I only lost 2 fish out of the about 30 fish that I have in my 2 aquariums. I have a little 9-gallon aquarium and a 32.5. I only lost 2 fish. And it wasn't during the moving process when I had them in the bags in a styrofoam box and bringing them to my new house. I didn't lose any fish when I brought them to the new house in styrofoam boxes. That's incredible. Alright guys, so that was my entire process of moving fish, but I will eventually, so click that subscribe, click the like button if you liked this video. Of course, make sure that you have a plan when you're moving fish. I hope that this video helped you guys out, because I was doing some research online about this stuff a lot, and not a lot of people actually had a good enough idea of what I needed to do to move fish. And I wanted to make sure I made a video to tell you guys what you'll actually have to deal with when it comes to moving fish. And I hope I successfully have done that for you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I am out.